Right.
Welcome once again to another episode of Discover New Music. Joining me is Bobby Amaru from Saliva. Bobby, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
And look, I'm just going to call myself out. I had to ask Bobby how to say his last name so I didn't sound like a fool before we started. So now I got it right, and but now we can be on first name basis because we're friends, right, Bobby? That sound
That's
good?
it. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, let's talk new music, man. The new album, Revelation from Saliva, 12th studio album from the band, the fifth for you. Obviously, we all know Saliva has been through a lot, man, since its inception. For you and your time with the band, obviously, you've put now over a decade and in there, and your stylings of the band. What maybe stood out in making Revelation compared to previous works that you've been on, or maybe previous works from before your time in making this album?
I think it felt like we had a lot of time to make this record, even though that wasn't our intention. Originally we started working on it in 2020 early, and then we were going to put it out in summer because we had tours lined up, and then all the pandemic stuff happened and shut everything down. So some of these songs on the record were written like, February 2020, March 2020. And we, with other previous records, we would take our time, finding the songs.
Mm-hmm.
But then we would typically just kind of go and bang out the recordings. This one was one of those where we took our time with the songs and with recording. I mean, literally the last solo that Wayne tracked was like 5 days before he passed away. It was for the record, so it was in March, so we just kept adding songs and being like, oh, we don't really like this one anymore. Let's write some more. And we ended up with about 34 songs before we narrowed it down to 12. So, I mean, we could do a double record. There's a ton of songs still left that nobody's heard.
And with that time, some people could call that a blessing. Some could call it a curse. Where did you find yourself for that, having that time? Were you breaking things down more? Were you second guessing yourself? Talk about maybe if that time was good or bad in your opinion, maybe a little of both.
I just really wanted the record to be honest, and I wanted it to be next level for us and for what, I didn't want to be like, oh, it's gotta sound like, typical Saliva stuff. I was like, and Wayne was very adamant too. Like when I played him some of the ideas for Come Back Stronger, that was like the first song that was like the blueprint for the record that we wanted to make. And it just felt heavier and just, everything, it still had the groove, but he thought it felt next level. And I think that's what we were trying to do, and we knew we wanted to get back at radio, and in that game, and you gotta put out stuff that feels relevant. And it's not that nothing against the old stuff and the style, but a lot of that stuff was put out 20 years ago. And but it's funny how it all kind of full circle, because I'll hear bands put out stuff today. I'm like, man, that reminds me of total early 2000s, like, new metal stuff, which is cool, man. It's great to hear that. And, we just know the record that we wanted to make had to be, we didn't want to like overthink it, but we definitely wanted to put, we wanted to bring some different elements and styles. And, Wayne we love like industrial stuff, a lot of like Nine Inch Nails, a lot of that. So we wanted to bring in a lot more industrial sounding things for the record too. And so,
let's talk. You brought up something there, and going back, and you look at the history of that, because now Saliva is at a generational point of fans. You got people that started listening all the way back in '96 and through all of the changes and everything you guys have been through. For a Saliva fan that started in '96 and listening now, where would maybe that fall for them when they're listening? If that makes sense.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you ask and what fan, like, because if they have an open mind, those are the ones that I've found like, you know, because I'll meet people all the time that are their day one diehard fans of the band. But I mean, they also love like Ice Nine Kills and all these new bands too. So they change with the time. So they don't really stay, oh my God, they got to sound like this forever, or I'm never going to, you know what I mean? Or it's
Yeah,
got,
right,
so,
right.
so I think when people are able to have an open mind, um, you know, I think it's easier for them to accept good music and good songs. Because I think Saliva, no matter what, like even from day one or now, it
Mhm,
was all about writing the best songs possible.
mhm.
You know, it was never like, oh man, let's go make a fucking reggae. Sorry, let's go make a reggae record. You know, where it was never anything like that. It was,
Yeah.
you know, it's just keep it rock and keep it heavy um and you know, big melodies and just write good songs. I don't know, and um that's never changed.
I do think though, Saliva reggae album might be something you need to work on now. That
Yeah,
might be the next thing,
yeah.
right?
Well, you know, some bands are like, oh man, we got to experiment and try different things. I think, you know, it's good to do that in steps, you
Yeah.
know, or try a song that, you know, and it might work. Or I don't mean a reggae song. I just mean like, you know, some
Well,
bands do it. They do it.
yeah.
Some bands do it and they do it well. Like Godsmack put out, you know, a record a couple years ago, and one of the songs that was a single, it was a huge song for them, and it definitely didn't sound like like a Godsmack record. You know, it sounded
Yeah.
like it could be a different band, but it worked for them. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's
So
easy, especially with as long as Saliva's been around and long you have been there and performing. Finding that not getting pigeonholed into a sound, you still want to do right by the fans, but also experiment. And I know I'm sure there's that fine line as an artist of what you're putting together, your artistic integrity, if you will, but still being able to explore and expand and find that sound that you're looking for, which I believe you guys did in this latest album, at least from what you're saying.
well, yeah, I appreciate that, man. You know, nobody wants to put out a record that the fans don't like. I mean, that
Right.
you always want to, you know, when you put your hard work in to writing songs. And for me as a lyricist and writing, you know, a lot of these songs are about what I went through, you know, to become sober. And I've been sober. October will be 5 years for me. And, you know, I remember some of these songs early on, like 2020, you know, I was only, you know, not even 2 years sober yet. And you start thinking about like when all the COVID stuff happened, and you know, you're seeing people dying and all this stuff. It kind of puts you in a dark place. You can't go tour, you can't go do stuff, but it's like being able to maintain that sobriety was a blessing for me, and through all of that, you know.
Yeah.
And I felt like I, you know, came out stronger in the end. You know, my relationship, you know, my wife, and everything just felt like it just got better with sobriety. And a lot of the songs are a reflection of that and what I went through. And then there's a lot of light at the, you know, at the end too. And I didn't want to write a bunch of, you know, poor me songs. It was more just, it was just songs that I feel like people could relate, but also letting them, you know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you know, you can get through it. If I can get through it, anybody can, you know.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, by the way, buddy, on 5 years. That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. Well, let's talk about, obviously, I know what a lot of people are wondering about, or you know, it's been all over ever since we lost Wayne in March of this year, which was just a shock to the music world. And I'm sure you've seen the outpouring from fans and losing
Mhm.
such an important member, not just to Saliva, but to the music community, obviously. And having him on this record, and obviously now even extra stuff, because you said you had 30 some odd songs with him in there. The bittersweetness of it, I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's how I would probably describe it. But what are the feelings there at losing Wayne, having this new album out, and how the band is moving forward, and how you guys are moving forward with that? Obviously, still having such a huge mark from Wayne after all this time, and with this latest record.
Yeah. So when I mean, obviously losing somebody like it's devastating, you know, just as a person too, because Wayne was such a great person, a great human, you know. Screw the music stuff. He was great at music and a phenomenal underrated guitar player. but just the way he was, I never knew him to have enemies. He had zero enemies, man, like none, you know. And like anytime there was ever a negative situation, he always was positive about it. It's crazy. Like most people would just be, you know, he was always the opposite and super positive. And I love that about him. You know, and these songs, like on this record in particular, like I think that I've got memories, man. Like just each song, I can literally put myself in that room with him while he was tracking guitars and whatever. And because I would track him and work with him and stuff. So I remember everything from like jokes and stories and things we were talking about through it. So I think that's what the positive I get out of this too, and just being able to have those memories. 12 years, I knew the guy, and we became very close. But I think for the world to be able to hear this stuff too is incredible, because he was proud of it, and he felt like this was the best record he'd ever done, playing wise. And I challenged him and to try different things, and I think it worked. And we did a whole covers record too that nobody knows about, that we may put out around Christmas. I don't know, a bunch of really cool songs, man. And he had a lot of fun playing a lot of that stuff, because he grew up on a lot of those songs that we covered too, and was all some of the 80s stuff. And it's it's going to be interesting if we start dropping some of those.
Yeah. Well, I know everyone is still, hurting from that. And you, especially, like you said, 12 years, and that's band years. That's a long 12 years with a guy when you're doing that on the road and having that kind of time. But we're at least happy that we have the new album, and hopefully more to come with the lasting legacy of Wayne and Saliva and everything like that. Again, Revelations, the brand new album from Saliva, 12 studio album, which is crazy. 12 out there. That's quite a few, but we can't wait to hear more and see what else is up in store for you guys, along with the tours, everything like that. I always ask this on new records, and I know this is kind of a hard question. Do you have a favorite track on the album? Is there one that maybe speaks to you, that really reaches out to you?
Yeah, there's a song called Horizon. It's the last song. It was always intended to be the last song. And his playing's pretty phenomenal on it. And the way the outro goes, it's like just him doing that Memphis blues stuff, man, that he was, and it was something he had never really done before, like outros, solos and things like that. And it just so happened it's track 12. And lyrically, like when I listen to it now, it's, I get chills thinking about it, but the song has way more meaning now. And it just makes total sense. Like just the way it just sums up everything that we've done and we've been through. So it's really, really cool.
I love it, man. Well, again, everyone, Revelation, the brand new album from Saliva. Cannot wait to get our grubby little hands on it and put it in the CD players and listen to it loudly, as you should with all Saliva music. It's fantastic. Then on the road, you guys got some shows coming up, and then what's on the horizon after that, huh?
Yeah, I don't know, man. One step at a time here. It's been a crazy year. It's been a rough year, for me and all. And so I'm glad to get out and be able to share this record and go tour with Drowning Pool. And they're friends of mine. It's funny, CJ was one of the first guys I met when I got in the band, and and he's such a great dude. Those guys are great guys. And they got Ryan singing with them again. I love Ryan. And it's going to be a good tour. It's gonna be fun to be around people that they like to grind too, man. They want to go out and it's rock and roll. So I'm stoked to be able to get out there and see the fans. I mean, really most important, and go hang out with them and go to merch every night and be able to just shake hands and take pictures and all that stuff that I've missed very much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait. I have a fun little quick Drowning Pool story. One time they played a show down in Springfield, Missouri, where I was working. Awesome show, amazing, sweaty little club. Later on, somehow we ended up at a house party, like in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Nowhere. All of a sudden, guy takes his shirt off. We're like, it's time to leave. Whenever a guy pops his shirt off at a house party, you're like, it's not going to go well. We're walking down the side of the road. Drowning Pool's bus pulls up next to us. They're like, guys, where were you? And we're like, where were you? And we got on the bus and we finished up the night. So they saved us from having to hitchhike, or we hitchhiked, I guess, with Drowning Pool at like, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the morning in Springfield, Missouri. So good stuff. They're good people. Good people.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. These days though, like the guy takes his shirt off, you pull out your phone and you just follow him. All right. Something's about to happen.
That's right.
Let's just go ahead and get.
This is going viral, man. I'm putting this on Reddit. So, but not that night. Not that night. There wasn't any phones. We just got out of there. We got while the getting was good. Awesome. We're gonna play rapid fire now that we got the important stuff out of the way. Real quick though, I want to commend you, man. The duets that you do with your daughter. As a girl dad, my daughter's 2. I think it's one of the coolest things. I'm sure you've been having a lot of fun sharing that with your daughter and doing those duets, huh?
Dude, it's been awesome, man. It's crazy. Like, just being able to do that, is like, it makes life great, and connecting with her on that level and being able to help her and teach her. And it all really started out with me just kind of just teaching her harmonies and being able to, because I'd worked with singers and through the years, and I've noticed even myself a lot of times have a hard time finding harmonies. So I'm like, if you can sing harmonies to your stuff, man, that's a good thing. So I started out doing that, and then it was like, okay, this thing blew up really quick. So we just kept doing it, and we're still putting out, songs all the time. And she's got stuff in the works for her. She's going to LA to record with Howard Benson, which is awesome. And so we're stoked. She's going to be doing her own thing, man, next year. And I'm pumped about it. I'm a proud dad. And so it's been awesome. And it's been great too. Like a lot of the, there's been a lot of bands that have reached out, like, and messaged me and stuff. And been like, dude, like, hey, will you do one of our songs? Like, it's cool, man. So.
That's cool. Well, and so, because sometimes, like, usually you're like, all right, I don't want you to be in a van touring and doing that. Don't do the rock star lifestyle. But it seems like you're totally supporting if she wants to go down the musical route and have that career. Maybe you'll open for her someday. How about that? There you go,
dude. You know what? Try. She could go tour right now. I would have to open for her. I know.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's good, man. I'm just stoked about everything, that she's doing. So, and thanks for noticing and as well. And it's circulated, so.
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's do rapid fire and I'll get you on your way. No wrong answers on this. You just go with your gut and we'll get to learn a little bit more about Bobby. All right. First one. Everybody Wang Chung tonight, or everybody was Kung Fu fighting?
Everybody Wayne Chung for sure.
Thank you. You're the first one to say Wang Chung. Yeah. I just interviewed Danny Warsnop. He had no idea what he's like, Wang Chung, what are you talking about? I'm like, you've never heard Everybody Have Fun by Wang Chung? He's like, no, I've never heard this. I'm like, come on, man. Come on. All right, good. Everybody Wang Chung, thank you. Superman.
Wayne and I had an inside joke about Wang Chung.
Did you really? Is it PC?
I called him years ago. I was at Epcot. And they had like the wine festival going on that they do every year at Disney, and they were the band, really? Wayne Chung. And I called him during that song and played it on his voicemail. It was hilarious.
I've never in a million years would have thought Wang Chung and Saliva inside joke would ever be something, but I love it.
Incredible. We had tons of those.
Superman or Batman?
Oh, Batman.
Choco Taco or Flintstone Push Pop?
Choco Taco.
Would you rather have damp jeans soaked jeans or damp socks?
The jeans.
Soaked jeans?
Soaked jeans, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, damp socks, right on the heel every single time. Every time.
No.
Would you rather see Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster?
Bigfoot.
Would you rather fight a man with bear arms or a bear with man arms?
Definitely a man with bear arms.
Man with bear arms. Any reasoning behind that?
Get him on the ground, man. Ground fight. Ground fight. friends.
Ground and pound, ground and pound.
Yeah.
Bobby, thank you so much for humoring me. More importantly, thank you so much for taking the time. Brand new Saliva out in September. Revelation. It's going to be awesome. And thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.